shut your effing mouth. When President Biden gets reelected, we'll help you. But right now, shut your effing mouth. And that was by the highest people in the United States. I'm saying is President Trump has an empathy and a sympathy and compassion that no other president of this country has ever had. Because he
did boast that he was going to have cocaine shoved up the gringo's nose. This guy was serving a 45-year sentence.
That's the former president pardoned his son.
But pardon 1,000 people who beat the living hell out of people on January 6th, who smeared feces across. Had many of those folks been black folks or brown folks, it would have been the bloodiest day in the history of this country. But this president just said to those folks,
and that messaging won you 2024. It didn't happen to be telling is half the truth. If you look at the actual details, some of these are over prosecution.
You were just talking about us defending drug traffickers. Are you trying to defend a drug trafficker?
I'm not. If you look at the facts of the case, you talk about there's a lot of holes in that case.
Hello, everybody. Guys, someone needs to get me the crime data on Sesame Street. We got Bert taking a beating again. And can someone tell me how to get to Sesame Street? Never mind, let's get into the segment.
Tonight's episode of Who in the World Did President Trump Promise to Pardon? Well, it's this man, Democratic Congressman Henry Cuellar of Texas. He and his wife were indicted last year for allegedly accepting more than $600,000 in bribes from 2 foreign entities. And today, Trump accused the Biden administration of weaponizing the DOJ to target political opponents because Trump wrote Cuellar spoke out about the former president's border policies. And just moments ago, after Trump made that post, Cuellar filed for re-election.
Are you running as a Democrat?
As I said, nothing has changed. I am a conservative Democrat, and I am very bipartisan. And I work with my Republican friends when I need to work with my Republican friends.
Scumbag.
Joining us in our 5th seat is CNN Global Economic Analyst Rana Foroohar. Rana, good to see you. I'll come to you in just a second, but I have to go to this guy over here, the lawyer at the table, because he knows a little bit about these pardons. And it is interesting to me that Trump has a couple of criteria, one of which is that you need to be at least prosecuted by the Biden DOJ or somebody who prosecuted him. Well, is there anything else that I should add to that list?
Well, Darryl Strawberry, you know, he's a very famous celebrity ball player who Trump has a long-term relationship with. Look, you know, we were talking earlier, he's the first president who could feel their pain, and in a very specific way. It's not like he was prosecuted years ago. He was prosecuted by the same administration that's prosecuted many of these people. And look, I lose objectivity when it comes to Mayor Eric Adams because I'm a friend, I'm a fan. But Eric Adams, he basically got prosecuted because he went crazy about the border situation with Biden. And they went after Eric Adams.
You really think that's the case?
Well, you have to say something, Abby. I'm not talking off the top of my head.
I know, that's why I'm asking you. I'm legit asking you because I'm wondering if you know more, if you know what I don't know. Have you seen evidence that it was because he was critical of the border situation?
I know for a fact that Eric Adams, in the beginning of him being vociferous, was told specifically, shut your effing mouth. When President Biden gets reelected, we'll help you. But right now, shut your effing mouth. And that was by the highest people in the United States of America, Democratic Party. And he couldn't shut his effing mouth because New York City, where I live, was getting crushed, right? And handling cases in the Southern...
Can I ask a follow-up question just to
clarify?
Sure,
of course. It's your show. You can ask whatever you want.
All right. I don't want you to think I'm interrupting you. I just want to understand.
Interrupt away.
President Biden would help him with the border situation or with his alleged crimes?
No, it wasn't with his alleged crime.
It was with the border.
Yes, and he was asking for a lot more help.
Big deal.
Because, look, I don't want to betray any confidence between the mayor and I, but my question to him was, I go, Eric, you got Schumer from Brooklyn, and you got Jeffries from Brooklyn, and you're from Brooklyn. Like, you can't figure this out? And he's like, I can't. I'm not getting any help. And he needed help. He needed financial help. And my point is this, Abby, I've handled now dozens and dozens, I'm not going to exaggerate, say hundreds, of cases in the Southern District of New York. So I know the kind of people they go after. I know the kind of cases they go after. Menendez, which you mentioned, that's a great example. Gold bars, cash, Mercedes-Benz. That's what they go after. upgrades on flights and upgrades in hotels and.
Yeah, but the Cuellar situation is more than upgrades on Turkish Airlines. And by the way, having flown Turkish Airlines, I wouldn't understand why you would want an upgrade.
The upgrades are very serious.
Listen,
guys, maybe I'm corruptible. I don't see a big deal with that. What the leadership in the Democratic Party said, shut the F up and we'll help you on immigration. Let Biden get reelected. I don't see the big deal in that. These people pretend to be, like, are they snowflakes? Or are they just pretending to be so righteous? What's the big deal? Shut the F up and we'll help you on immigration when I get into office. I can't help you right now when I'm in the middle of a campaign. What's the big deal? Cabrón. Maybe he should use different words. Okay, who cares? And so listen, I have no reason to believe Baldy over here, evil Mr. Clean either, or the former New York mayor, Baldy Eric Adams. For one, this idiot over here was Ghislaine Maxwell's lawyer. So I think enough is said there about his character. And Eric Adams is corrupt and dirty as hell. He was taking like bribes. F that dude. Then Trump was treating him like a little pet, help us with ICE or we'll lock your ass up. Oh, but he's so offended by someone telling him shut the F up. Like, this all sounds like nonsense. And let's say it was true. Let's say for a second, Baldy over here is telling the truth. Isn't Trump supposed to be the guy cleaning up the swamp? Isn't he that guy? Isn't that the nonsense these guys constantly spew? That Trump is for the everyday person. Yes, the multi-billionaire felony fraudster is there for the everyday American person. Like, I think Trump pardoned this piece of garbage, Henry Cuellar, because Trump likes corruptible people. Because he is, right? Like, he likes weak people. Just take a look at his cabinet and the spineless people he has around him. He likes them because they're very easily used, right? Of course, why else? Trump doesn't do anything that he doesn't think will benefit him one way or another. We all know it. He likes them because they're weak. They're corruptible. That's it.
I think Trump really likes to flex. He likes the power. He's become the
and he likes to be a hero. And
he's become the Oprah Winfrey of pardons. You get a pardon, and you get a pardon, and you get a pardon.
And it's heroic.
Henry Cuellar also is a congressperson in a Congress that right now has a razor-thin Republican majority, and so every little vote matters.
Yes.
But I think we should take a look at, and we should talk about, if we're going to talk about pardons, something that makes no sense to me. It just doesn't, and I find it really abominable, which is the pardon that he did this weekend of the former president of Honduras, Hernandez, who did flood the streets of America with cocaine, who did get a $1 million bribe from El Chapo to allow passage through Honduras of cocaine up to the United States, who did boast that he was going to have cocaine shoved up the gringo's nose. This guy was serving a 45-year sentence. This guy was prosecuted and convicted for having brought a unfathomable 400 tons of cocaine into the United States.
I'm not here to defend.
At the same time that we're about to bomb Venezuela over alleged cocaine that doesn't come into the United States.
This is all I'm going to say.
He pardoned the guy who did bring cocaine.
All I'm going to say is this. I am not going to defend all of President Trump's decision. That's not my role.
Okay, but that's a disgusting one, Arthur.
Okay. I'm not disagreeing with you. All I'm saying is President Trump has an empathy and a sympathy and compassion that no other president of this country has ever had, because he sat in a courtroom
for
and he heard not guilty.
Yes. Rana, there is an epidemic of white collar crime that is on the receiving end of pardons. It's only been 11 months since Trump has been in the White House.
Oh, surely it's been longer than that.
They just announced the pardon of another guy, a top entertainment executive who literally was just charged this year by Trump's own DOJ. What's up with the sympathy for white-collar criminals, the fraudsters, the Ponzi scheme guys?
You know, it takes one to know one. I mean, there's a pay for play kind of a situation happening in this government. You know, it's something in my world, in economics and in the markets, it's starting to be written about as what's called, it's kind of a wonky term, the EMification of America, the emerging marketification of America, because this is the kind of thing.
That's not a compliment.
It's not a compliment. It's the kind of thing that you used to, you know, in places we used to call third world countries, you know, this is the kind of behavior that you would see. Now you're seeing it in the U.S. A lot of the emerging markets are actually cleaning up their act. Now you're seeing a an influence. You can buy your way to a pardon. You can buy your way into a corporate deal. I mean, there are dozens of examples of the president's own family getting involved in deals that, frankly, are very dodgy, particularly in areas like crypto, for example, which could end up triggering the next financial crisis. And then we're going to see a lot of what's been happening behind the scenes.
Abby, I want us to...
And guys, these idiots, Republicans, scream about Democrats hate America. They hate Americans or whatever it is. What screams you hate America more than pardoning a guy who smuggled 400 tons? Guys, 400 tons of cocaine that, without a doubt, killed at least a crap ton of people. The party of law and orders, guys, right? The party of law and orders. No? No bueno? Like, it just goes to show you not one principle that they stand by. Even this drug lord that was pardoned, will they not try to make an excuse? Baldy says, he says earlier, I'm not here to defend Trump. And everything he does, then proceeds by defending him. And says Trump is but a compassionate man, an empathetic one. That's why he pardoned the drug lord who smuggled 400 tons of cocaine. He's a kind-hearted man. Like, just un-effing believable how these people justify things in their mind. They just don't care and will make excuses and defend anything. But they're so offended by someone telling Eric Adams, shut the F up. Once I get elected, I'll help you on immigration. Do you see the imbalance here? They just don't care. They'll defend anything. Again, this dude with Ghislaine's Maxwell's lawyer. This is easy for him to defend. Trump isn't draining any damn swamp. He's flooding it with muck and creatures of the abyss.
Go to that Wayback Machine. In 2006, I was the executive director of the House Dem Caucus. And in that midterm election, it was a wave election for Democrats. And part of the message from Democratic Party was that there's a culture of corruption that is effusive across Washington, D.C. Donald Trump is adding to that culture of corruption with all of these various parties.
Do we forget that the former president pardoned his son?
But regardless,
so we're just going to put that in the back burner. We're going to forget about that.
But we know this president pardoned 1,000 people who beat the living hell out of people on January 6th, who smeared feces across the Capitol building. Think about if, for many of us, we think about, had many of those folks been black folks, or brown folks, it would have been the bloodiest day in the history of this country. But this president just said to those folks,
and that messaging won you 2024. It didn't. The reality is, if you talk about what the president is actually doing when it comes to pardons,
and we've seen it work right now in some of these special elections.
These are the flashy pardons. These are the ones that catches the news. When you look at what's actually happening, you have Alice Marie Johnson, someone who the president pardoned in his first term, who's overseeing a large majority of all these pardons, giving a second chance to countless Americans who would be left in the shadows in a dark, cold prison cell. This president is giving these people extra life. Alice Marie Johnson is the best testimony.
A lot of these
why is he
billionaires
overshadowing it with these other pardons? Why is he pardoning a drug trafficker? Why is he pardoning somebody that his own DOJ just prosecuted? Why is he pardoning somebody who was convicted of $1.7 billion in fraud?
If you look at a lot of these cases...
why is he pardoning somebody who he and his family are in business with?
If you look at a lot of these cases, what you happen to be telling is half the truth. If you look at the actual details, some of these are over prosecutions. Some of these are crimes that would have never been prosecuted if it wasn't because
drug trafficker.
That is a whole other. It's not going to take 3 minutes in the segment to actually look at that.
Who was the lead investigator?
There was a larger geopolitical issue there. This was a
right wing. Trying to influence the Honduran election.
This was the previous administration.
Pardoning someone from
Of course, it's Joe Biden's mouth.
Pardoning someone from this guy's political party, but he's a drug trafficker.
Tried to make an example out of this person. And if you look at who testified against him,
like I said,
it was drug lords.
Anna just pointed out that the
Honduran
president's brother was prosecuted in the part of the scheme, prosecuted by Emile Beauvais. That's Trump's former lawyer. He's now in the Trump administration right now. So,
No,
and you guys try to take him
excuse
out.
me, I'm sorry. Now he's on the court.
And
Now
you
he's on the
guys,
court.
and you had
So-
a
So are you
media-
really trying to argue? You were just talking about us defending drug traffickers. Are you trying to defend a drug trafficker?
I'm not. If you look at the facts of the case, you talk about there's a lot of holes in that case. They try
Proceeds
to
to
make an
defend it.
example out of this person. I don't
Filled
know all
with
the
cocaine.
facts, but what I can tell you,
Holes filled with
I
cocaine.
gotta leave it there, but I'm just gonna leave. I'm gonna leave that alone. So there's only one person at this table who's defended a drug trafficker, and it ain't me. When it comes to inflation between.
Ay, cabrón, can you tell me how to get to Sesame Street? Abby got Bert good there. She said that because Bert, his dumbass in a previous segment, I made a video on it a couple days ago, was saying, oh, Abby, you and the Democrats are defending drug smugglers. All because she was rebuting the simple logic that fentanyl, for the millionth time, doesn't come from Venezuela, but comes from Mexico with precursors from China. Very simple logic. Because fentanyl is what's killing people here by far. It's very simple. This idiot's going to say she's defending, like... And then again, even in this, like, he's just out of his depth. He needs help from Big Bird or Ernie, someone. He just keeps getting loss after loss. He's just out of his depth. He doesn't even know how to deflect correctly. They're bringing up this drug smuggler, 400 tons of cocaine. This idiot, the first thing he says, Biden pardoned his son. Diablo. How stupid. Like, and again, while at the same time defending the bombing of supposed drug boats that have cocaine on it. Like, it doesn't, none of this makes sense. But Trump makes it hard. It's Trump and his administration that makes it hard for all these little puppets. Because they got all their lies messed up. Because the logic doesn't make sense because Trump is lying. And so these pundits are forced to just make up random justification. We know those boats are not being bombed because of drugs. Obviously. So these idiots are left to scramble for responses. And then for the average Republican voter, they just nod along with whatever nonsense is said. They just nod along, just mindless drones, never questioning simple logic. This kind of crap, this kind of logic would just not work on the left. We would question it. We would simply question it, like, wait, this doesn't add up. But anyways, I'm gonna leave it there, guys. This guy needs Big Bird's help. He cannot be on his own. Let me know what you think about all this in the comments. Please leave a like, subscribe. Really helps the channel. Really helps push the message out there, and I'll catch you in the next one.